Jalen Hurts drops back, the pocket collapses. He scrambles right, finds his opening, and launches a perfect spiral to A.J. Brown in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown Eagles. The confetti falls in midnight green as Philadelphia hoists the Lombardi Trophy, capping off a dominant 40-22 victory over Kansas City in Super Bowl LIX. But here's what makes this Eagles team truly terrifying. They're not satisfied. They're not content. And they just got even scarier. While the rest of the NFL scrambles to figure out how to stop the defending champions, Philadelphia has been busy making moves that could establish the most dominant dynasty of the modern era. We're talking about a team that just transformed from punchline to powerhouse in one season, led by a Super Bowl MVP quarterback who's entering his prime, anchored by a running back who just signed the richest contract in position history, and powered by a defense that went from one of the league's weakest to the very best under one of the greatest defensive minds in football. This isn't just about winning another championship. This is about building something that could terrorize the league for years to come. February 9th, 2025 wasn't just another Super Bowl victory. It was the culmination of a methodical rebuild that began the moment Howie Roseman realized this franchise had championship DNA flowing through its veins when Jalen Hurts walked off that field in New Orleans with Super Bowl MVP honors, completing 17 of 22 passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns while adding 72 rushing yards and another score. He wasn't just celebrating a title. He was announcing the arrival of something special. His 119.7 passer rating and 77.3% completion percentage in the biggest game of his life didn't just break Patrick Mahomes' three-peat dreams, it established Philadelphia as the new standard of excellence in the NFL. But what happened next is what separates championship teams from dynasties. Instead of celebrating and assuming success would continue, the Eagles organization immediately set to work, making sure that Super Bowl victory was just the beginning. The numbers from that championship season tell a story of complete domination that most people still don't fully comprehend. This wasn't a fluke run by an overachieving team. This was systematic excellence across every facet of the game. Hurts threw for 2,903 yards and 18 touchdowns with just 5 interceptions, while rushing for 630 yards and 14 touchdowns, becoming the first quarterback in NFL history to record 4 consecutive seasons with double-digit rushing touchdowns. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley exploded for 2,005 rushing yards, joining the exclusive club of players to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season. While the defense under Vic Fangio allowed just 278.4 yards per game, ranking first in the NFL in total defense for the first time since 1991. The championship run wasn't just about individual excellence, it was about collective dominance that showed up in every statistical category that matters. Philadelphia's plus 186-point differential ranks second in the NFL, while their turnover differential of plus 18 demonstrated the kind of opportunistic play that defines championship teams. The Eagles scored 30 or more points in 11 games, including playoffs, while allowing fewer than 20 points in 13 of their 21 total games. These numbers don't just indicate a good team, they reveal a juggernaut that was operating on a different level than the rest of the league. Now here's where it gets scary. Philadelphia looked at that championship foundation and decided it wasn't enough. They looked at a roster that dominated the NFL and said, how do we make this even better? The answer came in the form of the most aggressive offseason in recent memory, starting with a contract extension that sent shockwaves through the entire league. On March 4th, 2025, the Eagles made Saquon Barkley the highest paid running back in NFL history, signing him to a 2-year extension worth $41.2 million in new money. This wasn't just about rewarding past performance. This was about locking up a generational talent who had just rewritten the record books while wearing midnight green. The $36 million guaranteed at signing represented the most guaranteed money ever given to a running back on a short-term deal, 3 years or fewer. But when you consider what Barkley accomplished in his first season as an Eagle, it looks like one of the biggest bargains in sports. The transformation of Saquon Barkley from good player to historically great performer tells you everything you need to know about what happens when elite talent meets elite opportunity. During his 6 seasons with the New York Giants, Barkley's career high was 1,312 rushing yards. In one season with Philadelphia, he rushed for 2,005 yards, a 693-yard improvement that showcases what happens when a dynamic player gets put in the perfect system. His 5.8 yards per carry didn't just establish an Eagles franchise record for any running back with 100-plus carries. It represented the highest yards per carry average for any 2,000-yard rusher since Barry Sanders in 1997. But the regular season was just the appetizer. Barkley's additional 499 rushing yards across 4 playoff games created a combined regular season and playoff total of 2,504 rushing yards, a new NFL record, surpassing Terrell Davis's 2,476 set in 1998. What makes Barkley's performance even more remarkable is how it elevated everyone around him. In 2023, opposing defenses dropped 8 or more defenders into coverage on 32% of Eagles' pass attempts, daring Philadelphia to beat them on the ground. In 2024, that number plummeted to just 18%, as defenses were forced to commit additional resources to stopping Barkley's explosive ability. This shift opened up the entire passing game, allowing A.J. Brown to earn first-team All-Pro honors with 1,456 receiving yards, while DeVonta Smith contributed 1,286 yards of his own. The ripple effect of having a legitimate ground game threat touched every aspect of Philadelphia's offense, creating the kind of balanced attack that opposing coordinators lose sleep over. His 78 explosive plays, defined as runs of 10-plus yards, led the NFL and nearly doubled his previous career high from his Giants days. Behind Philadelphia's elite offensive line, Barkley wasn't just accumulating volume. He was maximizing efficiency in ways that hadn't been possible earlier in his career. The contrast was stark. In 6 seasons with New York, Barkley averaged 4.4 yards per carry. In one season with Philadelphia, that number jumped to 5.8 yards per carry, while handling significantly more touches. The offensive line that made Barkley's transformation possible deserves special recognition for creating the kind of championship-level foundation that separates elite teams from merely good ones. Left tackle Jordan Mailata and right tackle Lane Johnson represent one of the most dominant tackle tandems in the NFL, with Johnson's contract extension through 2027 providing stability despite his age. The interior line features center Cam Jurgens, who seamlessly replaced Hall of Fame legend Jason Kelce, while guards Tyler Steen and Landon Dickerson provide the kind of youth and athleticism that creates optimal conditions for both running and passing success. This unit allowed just 37 sacks across the 2024 season, tied for the second fewest in the NFL, while paving the way for the league's second-ranked rushing attack. The chemistry and communication between these 5 players creates the kind of synchronized protection that allows Hurts to operate with complete confidence in the pocket, while providing Barkley with the consistent gaps and lanes that make explosive plays possible. But if you think the Barkley extension was the scariest part of Philadelphia's offseason, you haven't been paying attention. The real terror comes from understanding what Vic Fangio accomplished with this defense in just one season, and how the pieces they've added around him create the foundation for sustained dominance that could last for years. When Fangio took over as defensive coordinator before the 2024 season, he inherited a unit that ranked 30th in scoring defense and 26th in total defense. What he delivered was one of the greatest single-season defensive turnarounds in NFL history. The Eagles' defense allowed just 278.4 yards per game, marking the first time Philadelphia led the league in total defense since the legendary Gang Green defense of 1991. They surrendered only 174.2 passing yards per game, ranking first in the NFL and becoming just the second defense since 2000 to allow fewer than 175 passing yards per game. The genius of Fangio's system isn't just in the results, it's in the sustainability. His defensive philosophy centers on two high safety shells that present identical pre-snap looks while rotating into multiple post-snap coverages, creating confusion for opposing quarterbacks while maintaining gap integrity against the run. The Eagles generated pressure with just a 4-man rush on more than 80% of snaps, the second lowest blitz rate in the NFL, yet still ranked top 5 in pressure rate when sending only 4. This efficiency allows Philadelphia to keep 7 defenders in coverage while still affecting the quarterback, creating the kind of mathematical advantage that makes offensive coordinators question their career choices. The sophistication of Fangio's system becomes even more apparent when you examine the advanced metrics that show how his defense consistently put opposing offenses in disadvantageous situations. Philadelphia's defense forced negative plays on over 15% of opponent snaps and generated 3 and outs on nearly 40% of drives, both the best marks in the league. The Eagles' defensive expected points, added per play, ranked first in the NFL at roughly -0.21, meaning that every defensive snap Philadelphia played tilted the field in their favor in terms of position, down and distance, and scoring probability. These numbers reveal a defense that wasn't just stopping opponents, it was actively creating opportunities for the offense while depriving opposing teams of any sustained momentum. The situational dominance of Fangio's defense tells an even more compelling story. Philadelphia allowed just 35.5% third down conversions, ranking 3rd in the NFL, while forcing 3 and outs on nearly 40% of opponent drives, the highest rate in the league. In the red zone, where championships are often decided, the Eagles allowed touchdowns on under 50% of opposing possessions, ranking 2nd in the NFL. These metrics carried into the playoffs, where Philadelphia's defense set team records with 16 sacks, 11 takeaways, and 6 forced fumbles across 4 games. The postseason performance included holding 3 different offenses, including Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, to fewer than 24 points, demonstrating the system's effectiveness against elite competition. What makes this defense truly terrifying moving forward is the foundation of young talent that Fangio has to work with. Rookie cornerbacks Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean didn't just contribute to the championship run, they established themselves as franchise cornerstones who could anchor this secondary for the next decade. Mitchell ranked among the top 10 corners in passer rating allowed, while DeJean gave up just 1 touchdown all season despite being targeted heavily in slot coverage. The defining moment of DeJean's rookie year came on his 22nd birthday in Super Bowl LIX when he intercepted Patrick Mahomes and returned it for a touchdown that effectively sealed Philadelphia's championship. These aren't just promising rookies. These are players who performed at near all-pro levels in their first season and have barely scratched the surface of their potential. The scary part is that Philadelphia went nearly unbeaten after DeJean became a full-time starter following the Week 5 bye, finishing 16-1 in that stretch, with the rookie secondary combining for 1,934 defensive snaps, the second most by rookie defensive backs league-wide. When you have 22-year-old players performing at elite levels, in the biggest moments, you're not just talking about a good defense, you're talking about the foundation of something that could dominate the league for years to come. Add in the fact that safety Reed Blankenship has developed into one of the most underrated players in the NFL, and defensive tackle Jalen Carter is coming off an all-pro season at just 25 years old. And you start to understand why opposing offensive coordinators are already planning their retirement parties. But the Eagles weren't done building. While other teams were focused on trying to replicate Philadelphia's success, Howie Roseman was busy making sure that success would be impossible to replicate. The 2025 NFL Draft became another masterclass in roster construction, starting with the selection of Alabama linebacker Jihad Campbell with the 31st overall pick. Campbell wasn't just the best linebacker available, he was a player that multiple NFL executives had graded as a top 10 talent, who fell due to concerns about a shoulder surgery that he's already fully recovered from. His college production of 117 tackles and first-team All-SEC honors in 2024 demonstrates the kind of playmaking ability that could immediately impact Philadelphia's defense, but it's his versatility that makes him so valuable to Fangio's system. Campbell's ability to play both off-ball linebacker and edge rusher creates the kind of matchup flexibility that defensive coordinators dream about. Imagine trying to game plan against a defense that can deploy Campbell as a traditional linebacker on first down, move him to the edge on third down, and drop him into coverage on passing situations, all while maintaining gap integrity and coverage responsibilities. His expected pairing with linebacker Zach Baun, who had a breakout season with over 120 tackles after signing for just $4 million before 2024, creates one of the most athletic and versatile linebacker combinations in the NFL. With the return of Nakobe Dean from injury, Philadelphia suddenly has linebacker depth that most teams can only dream about. The draft continued to address every need with surgical precision. Second-round safety. Andrew Mukuba from Texas brings the kind of ball skills that fit perfectly in Fangio's two-high safety system, coming off a strong 2024 season with high tackle production and multiple interceptions that demonstrate his playmaking ability. Fourth-round defensive tackle Ty Robinson from Nebraska recorded 15 tackles for loss in 2024, the most by a Cornhusker since Ndamukong Suh, while his 4.83-second 40-yard dash was the fastest among defensive tackles at the Combine, providing the athleticism Fangio loves for exotic rush packages and stunts. Even the late-round picks show the attention to detail that separates great organizations from good ones. Sixth-round quarterback Kyle McCord represents a homecoming story, with the Philadelphia native transferring from Ohio State to Syracuse and finishing among the FBS leaders with over 4,500 passing yards and 30-plus touchdowns in 2024. His arm talent and local ties create development potential as the third quarterback behind Jalen Hurts and Tanner McKee. Fifth-round cornerback Mac McWilliams, a developmental slot defender with 4.41 speed and solid UCF production, adds depth to a secondary that already looks impossibly deep. The offensive line reinforcement through the draft demonstrates the organization's commitment to protecting its most valuable assets. Third-round center Drew Kendall from Boston College, son of former NFL Pro Bowler Pete Kendall, provides immediate depth with starter potential. His intelligence and versatility make him a possible long-term successor to Cam Jurgens, while later picks like tackle Miles Hinton and guard Cameron Williams add developmental depth and competition across the unit. The Eagles' approach to skill positions reveals a front office that understands championship football requires depth and versatility. Wide receivers A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith form the most productive tandem of the modern era in franchise history, while the addition of Jahan Dotson via trade and the emergence of rookie Johnny Wilson create 3 and 4 receiver packages that overwhelm opposing secondaries. Tight end Dallas Goedert anchors a group that now includes Harrison Bryant and Kylan Granson, offering multiple matchup options to complement the explosive ground game. These aren't just depth pieces, they're strategic acquisitions that give offensive coordinator Kellen Moore maximum flexibility against any defense. But here's what makes this Eagles team truly scary. It's not just about the talent they've added. It's about organizational stability and championship culture that allows talent to reach its ceiling. When Nick Sirianni signed his extension after the Super Bowl victory, it ensured continuity that few defending champions enjoy. Sirianni has grown from a first-time head coach into a proven leader, guiding Philadelphia to 2 Super Bowl appearances in 4 seasons. His relationship with Jalen Hurts has become one of the strongest quarterback-coach partnerships in the league, built on trust, communication, and a shared vision of sustained excellence. The coaching staff's collective expertise creates an environment where individual development accelerates beyond normal expectations. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio brings decades of experience implementing complex defensive systems, while his ability to adapt his scheme to maximize player strengths has turned potential into production throughout the roster. Position coaches like defensive line coach Clint Hurt have transformed the defensive front into an elite unit, with players like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis already playing at all-pro levels under his guidance. The consistency in coaching philosophy and technique provides institutional knowledge that allows players to focus on execution rather than relearning systems, maximizing development and performance. The front office stability is equally important. Howie Roseman's track record speaks for itself. 3 different championship caliber rosters built through intelligent drafting, shrewd free agency, and creative salary cap management. His ability to identify undervalued talent, whether it's signing a rotational linebacker on a bargain deal or trading for Saquon Barkley before anyone else recognized his true value, represents the kind of organizational advantage that extends beyond any individual season. With a general manager who consistently finds ways to improve rosters while maintaining financial flexibility, Philadelphia isn't just a great team, they're positioned for sustainable dominance. The player development infrastructure that often goes unnoticed in championship analysis deserves recognition. Strength and conditioning coach Ted Rath has kept Philadelphia's players among the healthiest in the league, avoiding major injuries that derailed other contenders. The sports science department uses advanced analytics to optimize practice loads and recovery, ensuring players peak at the right times while maintaining durability through the grind of an NFL season. Even the nutritional and mental health programs provide support that lets players focus entirely on performance rather than distractions. The scary part is how seamlessly all these elements fit together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. When you combine a quarterback who's proven he can deliver in the biggest moments, a running back coming off one of the greatest seasons in league history, an elite receiving core, and a defense that went from worst to first while getting younger and more talented, you're not just talking about a team with repeat potential. You're talking about a group capable of establishing dynasty-level dominance not seen since the Patriots of the early 2000s. But championship expectations come with championship challenges, and the 2025 schedule presents obstacles that would test even the deepest roster. Philadelphia enters with one of the league's toughest projected schedules, ranked among the top 5 in strength of schedule. Opponents combined for a .561 winning percentage last season, and the Eagles face more than 10 teams that made the playoffs, one of the most playoff-heavy schedules a defending champion has ever drawn. That includes cross-conference battles with Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. Add in division rivals like Washington, who are rising fast, and the challenges ahead ensure Philadelphia's repeat bid won't come easy. The NFC East itself represents perhaps the biggest challenge to Philadelphia's repeat aspirations. No team in the division has won consecutive titles in 20 years, the longest active drought in the NFL, and the competitive balance has never been tighter. Washington's rapid ascension behind second-year quarterback Jaden Daniels makes them a legitimate contender, especially with the additions of explosive weapons like Deebo Samuel and protection from Pro Bowl tackle Laramie Tunsil. In this script's 2024 season, the Commanders went 12-5 and reached the NFC Championship game, proving they won't be intimidated by Philadelphia's championship pedigree. Even the Dallas Cowboys, despite organizational changes and salary cap constraints, retain enough talent to create problems in divisional matchups. The hiring of Brian Schottenheimer as head coach adds uncertainty, but with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons, Dallas will never be an easy out. Division games rarely follow form regardless of talent disparities, and Philadelphia's undefeated divisional run in 2024 will be nearly impossible to replicate given the improved competition and the pressure that comes with being the hunted rather than the hunter. The early season schedule presents particular challenges that could define Philadelphia's championship defense before it truly begins. The Eagles are projected to face a brutal stretch against 4 consecutive playoff teams, including Dallas and Kansas City. The Week 3 showdown with the Chiefs isn't just another regular season game. It's a chance for Kansas City to exact revenge for their Super Bowl defeat in what promises to be one of the most emotionally charged matchups of the year. Arrowhead Stadium has long been one of the NFL's most difficult road environments, and Patrick Mahomes will be motivated to prove that Philadelphia's championship was no fluke. Yet these challenges exist within the context of an organization systematically built for sustained success rather than short-term achievement. The depth chart reveals a roster constructed not just for talent, but for durability and adaptability. Behind every starter sits a capable contributor, creating the kind of institutional depth that allows championship teams to survive the inevitable injuries and adversity of an NFL season. If A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith miss time, players like Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson provide legitimate threats. On the defensive line, depth options like Ty Robinson and a healthy Jordan Davis ensure constant fresh legs without significant drop-off. Special teams, often the hidden factor in championships, remain another Philadelphia strength. Kicker Jake Elliott converted 29 of 33 field goal attempts in 2024, including a perfect 4-for-4 showing in the playoffs, while his 58-yard strike against Kansas City showcased the clutch ability that wins titles. Punter Braden Mann averaged 47.8 yards per punt, while consistently pinning opponents inside the 20, creating valuable field position for the defense. Coverage units ranked among the league's best at limiting return yardage, forcing opponents into long drives while preventing explosive special teams plays. These details matter in championship football, where hidden yards often decide the outcome of the biggest games. The financial strategy behind this roster construction tells its own story of championship commitment. Philadelphia's aggressive cap management sacrifices long-term flexibility for short-term competitiveness, with over $60 million in dead money ranking near the top of the league in 2025. But this isn't reckless. It's calculated risk-taking designed to maximize a championship window that aligns perfectly with the prime years of their core players. Hurts at 26, Barkley at 28, Brown at 27, and Smith at 26 remain in or are entering their primes, while the defense is even younger, with Carter at 25, Mitchell at 23, and DeJean at 22, forming the foundation for the next decade. What makes Philadelphia's situation more terrifying for the league is the organizational hunger that comes from tasting championship success without growing complacent. This isn't a one-title team. This is an organization that sees the chance to build something historically significant. The combination of elite talent, organizational stability, financial commitment, and championship experience has created the kind of perfect storm that rarely aligns in professional sports. Odds makers have already placed Philadelphia among the favorites for Super Bowl LX, alongside Baltimore and Buffalo. Metrics like ESPN's FPI also project them as one of the league's top contenders. These aren't just reflections of past success. They're projections rooted in roster talent and organizational stability. Expert analysis reinforces what the numbers suggest. Former NFL executives routinely call Philadelphia's roster the most complete in the league, while defensive coordinators admit privately that Fangio's system is nearly impossible to game plan against. The combination of schematic innovation and player execution makes Philadelphia a nightmare matchup for anyone. Perhaps the clearest indicator of Philly's rise is how the rest of the league is responding. Defensive coordinators are dissecting Fangio's too-high system, while offensive coaches build plans specifically for the Eagles' pressure schemes. Personnel departments are hunting for players who can match Philadelphia's speed and versatility. When an entire league orients itself around stopping one team, that team has transcended normal championship status and entered dynasty territory. Only 9 teams in NFL history have successfully repeated as champions, the last being the Patriots in 2003-04. The modern salary cap makes it even harder, but Philadelphia hasn't just retained its core, they've improved it. The combination of elite quarterback play, generational running back talent, championship-proven receivers, a defense anchored by young stars, And top to bottom organizational excellence has created a formula that's almost impossible to replicate. The most terrifying part isn't what they accomplished in 2024. It's what they're capable of moving forward. This roster, front office, and coaching staff have built something special, something scary, and something that could redefine excellence in the NFL for years to come. The most terrifying aspect of this Eagles team isn't just what they accomplished in 2024, it's what they're capable of achieving moving forward. Championship teams are rare. Dynasty-level organizations are rarer still. But when you have the perfect combination of talent, leadership, financial commitment, and organizational culture, you get something that transcends normal championship expectations and enters the realm of historical significance. The Philadelphia Eagles have built something special, something scary, and something that could redefine excellence in the modern NFL. As training camp progresses and the 2025 season approaches, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The rest of the NFL should be very, very afraid. The Eagles aren't just defending a championship. They're building a dynasty, and they're just getting started. But what do you think? Are the Eagles destined for sustained dominance? Or will the challenges of defending a championship prove too much? Let us know in the comments below.